Hi guys, welcome back. It's another episode of Common Sense AI. Now, what I'm doing for this episode is I'm going to discuss, really what a real life work problem you may deal with, right? From time to time, there's sometimes where you get like these weird, aggressive communications, right? Via email and stuff like that. And this is why email is kind of, it's not necessarily the best to use, right? Because oftentimes you'll lose tone and people don't understand what you mean. You'll come off super aggressive when you're really just saying something, right? Or it's kind of like when someone texts you in all caps. It's like they're yelling at you, right? Different things like that. So now, in this instance, right, what I'm gonna walk you through is just a simple thing of just, how to respond to toxic emails, right, or just aggressive emails. So let's get into it. Now, the subject is immediate clarification need for box truck status for alfalfa event. So apparently I'm involved in the event called the alfalfa event, and there's some sort of box truck needs to get purchased. It's going to the procurement organization org, which is myself. And then it's also CC the events organization org ops lead, right? What that is, that's essentially my boss, right? So sometimes what I found in these kind of instances is these emails typically go out and they'll CC a bunch of people in the departments, right? Or they'll add them on the to line and, different items of that nature, right? Um, Typically that's, passive aggressive email communication technique, right? You see that a lot. And honestly, not only is it not the right way to do things, it's also kind of annoying. And like to everybody, not just the people that are that's receiving it, but the people that have to they're caught in the chain. Like they'll read it like, oh, that's a nasty email, and they're just like, I'm gonna delete that, or I'm gonna ignore that. I'm gonna go do my thing because I don't want that problem, right? Who wants to sit down 9 o'clock in the morning, right? When you start your work and you just deal with stuff like this, right? So let's get into it. Hi, procurement team. We're now inside the window for final logistics, and I still haven't received a clear status update on the box truck tied to the alfalfa event. Well, that's kind of interesting because not only have I been emailing you, have I been texting you, I've been emailing and texting your POC, and I've also called you several times. And I also just talked to you about this just the other day, which is yesterday. And I clearly told you don't go get the box truck until I tell you to go get the box truck because I'm handling some stuff, right? Not only that, but I also have like these set meetings in place where I kind of communicate this stuff, like a procurement meeting and a daily sync meeting, and there's even group chats. So I'm a little confused how you're confused, but I'll keep reading, right? Um, we're now inside the window for final logistics and still haven't received a clear status update on it tied to the alfalfa event. All right, well, that's the opposite of what I'm tracking, but okay, I'll keep reading. Was it purchased? Is it pending? Or has it been dropped altogether? Right? Now, mind you, I'm adding that tone. Maybe they didn't really mean it to have that tone. Maybe they think they're being direct, but it sounds to me like what I mean, like they're coming at me, right? I don't know what's happening on your side. From here, it looks like no one is owning this and no one is saying so outright. We've been raising this for weeks, and the lack of transparency is now impacting delivery timelines. So now, really, what I take from that is that we have an issue with communications and delivery timelines. Now, the whole first part of the statement, honestly, that's just meant to get you agitated, right? And obviously, emotions a little bit high, right? Typically in the workforce, what you're gonna find is that while some people can deal with stress, right, other people can't. Some people freak out. Some people are, I like to say, they're so stressed out about all the things they have to do that they're too stressed out to do any of the things they have to do, right? One of them being listening, right? So if this has been resolved, please confirm that and provide documentation. If it hasn't, then let's stop pretending we're tracking. All right, like that was overly aggressive. But like, so you're saying like I'm pretending to do my job. All right, and you're CCing my boss on this. Cool, bro. Yeah, good morning to you too. Now, At this stage, I need a straight answer, not another placeholder update, not another working on your response, real status, and who is holding the action. And this is from Nicholas, which is the head of the event management, right? So what you need to take from this person is actually somebody that is senior to me in one way, shape, or form, right? Which these are really the hardest conversations to have because typically when someone's on the same level as you, it's not really hard to tell them off. It's not really hard to be like, you know what, come talk to me when you're more professional. Don't ever speak to me like that again, right? Boom, and then we're done, right? But A, that's also not a good way to talk to people, right? And then B, well, this person's obviously a senior manager, right? Which is also not a good way to talk to people, anyways. Definitely not a good way to talk to your seniors. All right. So now this is the email I'm gonna send in reply back to that, right? So as far as the email I'm gonna send is, hey, first of all, bro, I clearly explained the status of this to not just you in the conversation yesterday, but also to the direct POC I was given from you. I've sent 15 emails and 5 texts, five which none of them have been replied to, as well as called you at least 3 times on the matter. I'm now reiterating that I already told you the status and the need to find a different vendor. Furthermore, I'll let you know, I had the request approved already, and I'm actually on the phone with the vendor right now. Last communication I gave you, I said, do not go get the truck. I will let you know when it's ready. As far as in PLC, I am literally the only person you talk to, and therefore stands to reason that I'm the PLC for this action, as previously discussed. Now, what this is just me being very emotional back. Well, I'm still stating very factual things. What really I'm doing is I'm being emotional. I'm defending myself, while also just kind of stating like, hey, this is what actually happened, right? Now, when it comes to this, I'll also keep going that, hey, we do go over this in our procurement meeting, which you never attended or sent a representative to. And I covered this in some detail at our morning sync meeting. Have you not seen my text in the group chat? I don't appreciate this communication. I am sending this in a separate email just for you. And I'm actually on the way to your desk to establish requirements and boundaries. See attached proof of communication, so that replies, right? Now, what that is what my actual reply is to them. Now, well, here's the problem with that. You send that boy off. What you're going to do is you're going to keep getting the problem going, and now you're kind of beefing it with a senior manager, right? Which is not necessarily the best thing to do. Now, what you can do with Common Sense AI is just use an AI that'll help you write it. So right now we're showcasing the TTPS writing assistant, which is available on GPT Store. Please go ahead and pull it, use it for your everyday life, right? It's nice and easy. You got to go ahead and give me a good rating, obviously. Otherwise, you're a hater. But other than that, let's keep going, right? So now I'm going to reply to it using the CIO framework, right? So I'm going to give you the context. Hey, I just received an aggressive email, right? It was full of misconceptions and omissions from a senior manager, right? I want you to reply to the email by fixing my email so that it focuses on the issues of the matter using a professional tone while also acknowledging and taking ownership of the communication issue from a standpoint of, I need to make sure you understand me after I talk to you and email you. This is the email I want you to recreate. And then that's the email body itself, right? And then the next thing I tell it, hey, do not embellish or use an aggressive tone. Now, while I was thinking, this is important because what it does is it addresses the issue, but it also takes my emotion out of it, right? This is how Common Sense AI works. Now, also, there was a ton of spelling errors, right? Because I'm just kind of typing it. Now, obviously, you and I both know AI, and we both know how to use basic tools, right? So basic tools is right click, you fix the typo, right? But it's full of typos. How long is that going to take you to do? Let's see what it pumped out, though. So now, one thing we're going to do is say, hey, hi, Nicholas. I want to address your recent message and clarify the current status of the box truck event for the alfalfa event. So now I'm grounding it and I'm be like, this is my intent in this email. So let's, hey, I need you to pay attention because I'm addressing your questions that you had, right? First, I want to acknowledge the communication around this task has caused confusion, and I take responsibility for ensuring that when I provide updates, not only are they received, but also clearly understood. I want to make sure that moving forward, our exchanges are aligned, expectations are shared. Now, that one is where I take an assertive stance and I say, you know what? It is my fault, right? It's because I'm explaining something to you and I think you understand it. And I walk away and it turns out you don't understand it. Newsflash, that tends to happen a lot in the workplace, right? People be like, yeah, I got it. And then they clearly do not got it, right? I'm like, hey, make sure you call them before you go over there, right? I'm like, I'm not gonna call them, right? Hey, make sure you do these 5 steps before you do that step, otherwise it causes a problem here, right? And then I just won't do it, right? Or that's that typical manager that's like sitting there and you're talking to them. You ever talk to someone and then you're looking them in the eyes and you can see them look away, or even worse, they're playing with their phone real quick, right? You know what that's happening there? No one's What's happening there is absolutely no listening whatsoever. So you might as well just stop talking and walk away. And fun fact, that's actually how you deal with that the best way. When someone's just kind of like talking to you and you can tell you're talking to them, you can tell they're not listening. You can just stop mid sentence. They're like, all right, bro, I'll catch you later, and then you just walk away. And then what it does is really it flabbergasts them because they're like, whoa, did this person just walk away from me? I thought they were talking to me. Like, no, I was talking, you weren't listening, and I'm done talking because you're not listening, right? That's actually a quick way to get them to listen to you. Another one, to clarify, I spoke with you directly yesterday through the status of the truck prior to procurement. Also relate the same information to point of contact from your team. Since this process began, I've sent 15 emails, 5 text messages, placed 3 phone calls regarding this item, none of which received a reply. So now, not only am I saying like, hey, I'm doing my job, bro, and I'm communicating with you, and I'm numerating them, like emails, texts, and phone calls because those are receipts. Like I can show you that I'm doing that, right? As of now I'm addressing your problem. The original vendor is no longer an option, and I communicated the need to find a replacement. Now, the purchase request has already been approved, and I'm currently in contact with the new vendor. In our last exchange, I clearly stated that the truck should not be picked up until I confirm it's ready. Regarding the point of contact, I've been the only person handling this procurement request from start to finish, and based on our previous conversations, I've operated accordingly. Not only have I worked with you this whole time, but I've done so this entire time, and I've executed everything I told you asked me to do. The issue was also discussed during our procurement meetings and covered in our morning 6 meetings. I also posted relevant updates in our group text chat, including a whole directive on retrieval, right? So now, not only am I saying like, hey, am I answering you in a very personal way? I also hold these things called meetings where I update this stuff. And I'm sending the text messages. I'll send this message separately so we can address this directly. I'm also heading your way now so we can walk through requirements, set clear expectations for how we management communication on this and actually going forward. Please see attached log communications for transparency. So what this does, right, quite simply, it addresses all of his concerns, right? It answers the questions, and it goes from there. But hey, man, what's the difference in the replies, right? Because maybe I don't understand them, right? Maybe I want to know what's the tone, right? So the original draft, there it is. The key space was frustrating. It's full of spelling errors and run-on sentences. It lacks structures, uses rhetorical questions like, have you not seen my text? Makes strong personal statements like, I don't appreciate this communication, and ends with a vague, emotionally charged visit like, on my way to your desk, right? What that means is if you're from the hood, that would be like, those are fighting words, right? And that's kind of how it's taken, right? So the effect is communicates your frustration, but risk being perceived as unprofessional, may trigger more conflict and resolution, and puts the focus on your emotions rather than facts, right? It lets you know that, like, while it does convey my message, like, hey, bro, you're not going to talk to me like that, it doesn't really solve the problem. So the revised professional version is calm and respectful tone because I'm talking to the senior. It's professional and direct without being passive or aggressive. That means I'm being assertive. Like I'm just stating facts. And you could disagree with the facts all you want, but I'm going to keep stating them and then you could deal with them accordingly, right? It's also organized in clear bullets and logical progression. So I go step by step to answer your stuff. Acknowledges communication breakdown without blame. Like I'll just be like, hey, there's an issue of communication. This is actually one of the cheat codes, right? Whenever you have a problem, on a project or on task or something like that, just bite the bullet and say, hey, you know what? It's my fault, right? Even when it's not your fault, just say it's your fault, right? And that puts people at ease, right? Or just like, hey, I acknowledge that this is a problem, right? And you go from there. Something that happens is you emphasize facts and repeated attempts to communicate, right? So then I'm like, hey, I'm being assertive and I'm gonna emphasize the truth, right? Because you're coming at me with a lot of false facts, right? You're probably up on a deadline and someone yelled at you and now you're yelling at me, right? Reframe solution focused way that affects and maintains your authority, positions you responsible, reliable, opens the door for alignment. Use the summary of it, right? You could even do a more shorter and direct. So I'll be like, yes, please. You gotta be nice to your AI, right? Otherwise, kind of messed up. So now we're seeing here's a shorter, more direct question, right? So clear that status. I sent multiple text emails, place calls with no replies. The request has already been approved. I'm currently working with alternate vendors I mentioned. I'm the only person handling this procurement, and based on our conversations, made me the point of contact. I also shared updates in the group text, and I have these meetings. Come behind your desk to walk now and moving forward. See attached message history for transparency. So that's even shorter, right? Now, you can go smaller and smaller and smaller if you want, or you keep it at one level. Now, this is how you use the writing assistant on TTPS. Now, it's the reason why we like to do this is instead of trying to sell product down your throat, right? What we do is we build AIs that work, right? And our AIs are not only controlled and embedded with certain prompt stacks and controls, but they're also learn from you, right? And then they create better items. Now, if you want to use any of our AIs that we have, simply go to GPT store, TTPS, and then type in writing, right? Or, type in interview, and it pops right up. So now if you want to use any of our AIs, if you just type in TTPS, it pops up of most of them. There's some other guys that pop up. Maybe some guys over here doing pen testing. Good for him, right? These are all of our AIs. You can tell by they have our logos kind of mixed in there. And some of them have like specific ones that I like to use. Now, these are AIs. If you like this kind of flow, what I was going for is more showing you how to use AI in a common sense way. Common sense AI is not that hard. You just have to understand how to use it. So with that being said, this has been the latest episode of Common Sense AI. Make sure you like, subscribe on the YouTube channel, leave a comment, let us know the different kind of things that you want to see. And as always, hey, stay sharp, right? Don't, be afraid of AI, learn how to control it, and you hear your best bars that you got to the beat. I'll catch you around. Late.
Elevate Studio.